Welcome to the debut of Fortunate Listener. Give yourselves all a round of applause for coming out to support this event. Make sure not to sit close to one another as groups. Oh, thank you. You've already done that. If you do want to move closer, you totally should, because there's no reason not to. There's no watermelon smashing. There's no comedy. You can be as close as you want to the stage, and it's totally cool. I don't know what you're yelling, but I'm sure it's totally relevant. Did she say lean on me? Never mind. Doesn't matter. So a few years ago, I created a storytelling show called The Narrators, where people tell true stories on a theme. And I'm really honored to be invited to bring a mini version of that show here tonight. And tonight's theme for us is like road stories or like touring stories. And I'm a comedian. I'm not in a band anymore. So all of my touring stories just pretty much involve me getting on a plane and going somewhere and just being like lonely in a hotel room. Like, I don't get the cool camaraderie of being in like a sweaty van with like 6 other dudes like fighting and arguing and stuff, which actually sounds like I romanticize that idea. I'm like, that sounds awesome. Yeah. Just all day with your friends in a van. And I bet it's pure hell. I bet they would like, oh man, just go to the airport, get on a plane, no gear, just bring a book, just go to a hotel, get in a bath. That's so great. But it's horrible to me. I think it's horrible. I hate hotels. So I have a few really short stories I'll tell up front. I was actually just at South by Southwest doing comedy. I'd never been there before. I'd never seen anything. It was like the biggest spectacle I've ever seen. But one night I ended up getting really drunk and wandering away from all the cool stuff, like way off into the city, and ended up in this blues bar where like the worst music on earth was happening. And this drunk dude from Austin came up and sat next to me. And he's like, are you from South by Southwest? And I was like, yeah. And he's like, yeah, I live here. I'm from Austin. He's like, real Austin people hate South by Southwest. And I was like, really? And he's like, yeah, we hate it. This is the real Austin right here, where like the worst blues you've ever heard in your life is going down. Just like bad, like a cop just died in an 80s movie, blues, like really bad. And he's like, yeah, the real Austin people hate South by Southwest. And I was like, really? It seems like it's like dumping so much money into your city, like the most money ever. And then he's so exasperated, he goes, yeah, but the mayor gets it all. I'm like, what? Is this like a cartoon economy or something? Like, there's no way that's true at all. I was like they just have like a big canvas sack with a dollar sign on the side, and they just go around. All the money goes to the mayor. Sorry. I know you got $2,000 in tips this weekend. It goes to the mayor. So as a comedian, a lot of my tour stories just involve terrible hotel situations or like terrible pair-ups. And a few years ago, I did a comedy contest in Salt Lake City, and I got paired up with another comedian whose name is Jeff, and that's his real name. What'd you say?
Boo Jeff, not you.
Boo Jeff? You already booing him? Have you heard this story before? It's a booable story. I thought maybe you'd heard it. I was like, oh, well, I'll tell a different story. You can just anticipate it that much. You just know that he's going to come out negative in this, and he is. He's going to come out horribly in this story because he's a horrible person. So Jeff and I are assigned the same room, and before the trip, I was like, hey, can I bring a bike along? Because I love to ride my bicycle. I'm in Salt Lake City for a week. Can I bring a bicycle? And he goes, yeah, but as long as you bring a bike for me, which is a weird request off the bat. Luckily, I had 2 bikes, so I did bring a bike for him. We drive to Salt Lake City with our friends, and we're paired up in the same hotel room all week. And it's going fine, you know, he's like a new comedian. We're getting along fine. So one day, I go to the movies in the morning. That's my favorite thing to do whenever I go on tour as a comedian. I just see all the movies I've even mildly wanted to see. I see them all. So I go to the movies in the morning, and then I come back to the hotel room, and I want to go for a bike ride. And when I walk in the room, any dude in this room who's ever lived with other dudes knows this like environment in a room when you walk in, and another dude who you live with is like all like a little like unnaturally stiff, like in a chair or something, because they've probably been masturbating. That's probably what's happening. And every dude in this room who's ever had a dude roommate knows that atmosphere. And maybe women, maybe it happens with other women. I'd like to think women are like, yeah, I was just masturbating. It's not a big deal. We're emotionally mature enough to just handle this. But dudes, never happens. Nothing was going on in this room, bro. So I go in and he's like, it's just like a weird atmosphere in the room. He's got like his laptop and he's like just chilling on the bed. And I was like, hey, what's up, dude? He's like, oh, not much. And he goes over to the desk and he's just like working. And in my head, I was like, oh, maybe he was. I don't give a shit, whatever. I was like, I'm going to go on a bike ride. And so I go to get my iPod and the headphones are missing from my iPod. And I was like, hey, have you seen my headphones from my iPod? And he's like, nope, haven't seen them. He's just at the desk clacking away. And I would never take my headphones off of my iPod. I only use them in the iPod. So I'm like, well, that's weird. It doesn't make any sense. Why would they not be in there? I was like, you didn't like use them or borrow them or anything? He's like, nope. No, I haven't seen them, dude. I don't know where they could be. Clickety clack. And I'm like looking around the room. I'm like, dude, there's no way they wouldn't be with my iPod. Like I was just using it yesterday. I use it every day. They should be connected. And he's like, I don't know, dude. I don't know. Weird. So I'm like looking around the room for him. Like maybe they got snagged on something. I don't know. I'm looking everywhere. I can't find him. So finally I like look under his bed, and one of the foam covers for an earbud is under his bed. And I was like, hey, look what I just found under your bed. And he's like, oh, weird. And then I pull back his sheets, and there's my headphones in his bed under the sheets. And I was like, dude, they're in your bed. And I pull them up. I was like, these are my headphones. And then he stares at me, and with a completely straight face, he goes, doesn't it look like somebody's been in our room? To which I responded, yeah, Jeff, I think somebody broke into our hotel room, left your fucking laptop, both my bicycles, removed my headphones from my iPod, and then hid them in your bed that you were just laying on. Is that really the story that you're going with? And he's like, I didn't touch them. I think somebody was in our room. And I was like, just admit that you borrowed them while you were using your computer. It's not a big deal. And he's like, I didn't borrow them. And then for the rest of the week, he refused to admit it. And I just got angrier and angrier. But at the same time, like more and more terrified. Like, I'm sharing this room with the level of psychopath that can't even say, yeah, dude, I borrowed your headphones. Not a big deal. Like, it was so terrifying. And he never did. To this day, sometimes I'll see him in LA, refuses to admit that he was clearly using my headphones. And I later did the math, of course, to masturbate, because he can't watch porn with the laptop speakers, so he was using my head. It all adds up. But he couldn't do it. Never. I could run into that dude when we're both like in our 50s. I'd be like, dude, just admit it. You were masturbating in a hotel room. You needed my headphones. Totally cool. And he would never admit it. He'd be like, no, not me. Not me, bro. Bro. Speaking of bro, my last story tonight, I run a comedy show with two of my good comedy friends, Ben Roy and Adam Caton Holland, one of whom is on the show tonight. They're probably my best friends in comedy, which, to translate to you in layman's terms, means like unpleasant acquaintances, basically. That's if you want to know what a best comedy friend is like. So we go to Portland last year. We were fortunate enough to be invited to bring our show, The Grawlix, up to Portland. So we went up, and the deal was we were supposed to have two double beds, and then we'd roll in a cot. Everybody gets their own bed. Not a big deal. So we get there, and the hotel's like, yeah, everybody's already checked in, so you guys get whatever rooms you have left. You just get one bed. You get one king-size bed, and we'll roll in a cot. So we go up there, and we look at it. And I'm like, I'll share the bed with anybody. I don't give a shit, because I don't care. And Adam's like, I'm definitely taking the cot. Like right off the bat, no hesitation. Adam's like, I'm on the cot. And then Ben is like, I'll share the bed with you, but I'm sleeping on top of the covers. Which is so weird to me. Like Adam, it sort of makes sense. Adam and I, we get into it drinking. We drink a shitload. So maybe in some weird hypothetical way, we could get so shit-faced that we find our normally repugnant other attractive enough to drunkenly hook up. I've never heard of that happening ever, but apparently that could, you know? Like our faces work like Velcro with his beard and my mustache. We're already stuck together. We're like, may as well make out, dude. Let's make the best of this. So I can see there's a little bit of logic in that. But Ben doesn't even drink. He doesn't drink at all. And he's like a black belt in jiu-jitsu. Like all he does is like beat dudes up on the ground, and he won't get under the covers with me in this bed. Which is so hilarious to me, to be that like afraid of being under the covers with another dude, my size too. So terrifying, right? You don't want to get manhandled by this package, this 12-year-old boy. Because again, that's what I do when I share a bed with people. So the only way I could think of is that Ben was afraid of some sort of like dream situation, some sort of like weird shared dream, some sort of like American Indian magic that like comes swirling into the window. So we're both laying there asleep, and all of a sudden we both dream that we have like fire ants all over our boxer shorts, so we just gotta get those off right away. And then I'm sleeping on the deck of this topsy-turvy ship, so I just roll over to Ben's side and just roll right on the back of him, and my arm just so happens to fall off the bed and open the nightstand where a previous tenant has left a half-open bottle of Astroglide. How convenient. And then I start dreaming that I'm just shaking like Frank's Red Hot on some hot wings or something. Like, these are gonna be delicious. And then Ben's dream changes, so he's like a rodeo bronco who's so angry. He's like, get off my back. And then my dream changes, so I'm just fucking my friend Ben in the butt. Perfect, and then we wake up.